It's 1:37 a.m. Your eyes burn. Your body's heavy. Tomorrow is going to hurt. And yet you don't close the screen. You scroll. You watch one more video. You open another tab you don't even care about. You tell yourself, just 5 more minutes. Let's be honest, on a Stows, it's never 5 minutes. From the outside, this looks like poor discipline, bad time management. It's a lack of self-control. But here's the twist. It's not a lack of control. It's a search for it. It's a psychological truth. About this human behavior is uncomfortable. Delaying bedtime is rarely about sleep. It's about autonomy. All day, your time wasn't yours. You responded to messages, you met expectations, you performed. You adjusted your tone, you swallowed reactions. You stayed regulated when your nervous system wanted to scream. And now in the dark, when everyone else is offline, something shifts. The world stops demanding. No one needs you. No one is evaluating you. No one is watching. And for the first time all day, your subconscious mind whispers, "This is mine." This is what psychology calls a compensation pattern. When your sense of agency feels restricted during the day, your brain searches for micro-rebellions at night. The behavior looks small, but emotionally, it feels powerful. Because the behavior isn't about sleep, it's about reclaiming space. Gabor Mate would say the behavior is not the problem, it's the solution your nervous system found. Carl Rogers would remind you that you're not lazy, you're responding to something real inside you. For some of you, staying awake isn't even pleasurable. It's exhausting, but it's yours, and that matters. You lie there knowing you'll regret it tomorrow. Choosing sleep feels like surrender, almost like giving the day one final victory. So you resist, quietly in the dark, through glowing light. If this already feels uncomfortably accurate, if you've ever felt that strange mix of exhaustion and defiance, subscribe. We go deep here. No anesthesia, because until the end of this video, you're going to discover dark psychology secrets about your own mind that will change how you see yourself. You don't delay sleep because you lack discipline. You delay sleep because somewhere in your history, control was not safely yours. Your body remembers. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your brain at 1:37 a.m. because this is not random. During the day, your system runs on cortisol, deadlines, notifications, conversations, microstressors, social performance. Even if nothing dramatic happened, your nervous system stayed slightly activated, slightly alert, slightly braced. That's what chronic low-grade stress does. It keeps you near the edge of your window of tolerance, that optimal zone where you can think clearly, regulate emotions, and respond instead of react. But many people don't live inside that window. They live right at the border, hyperfunctional, productive, smiling, tight jaw, tight chest. Your amygdala, the brain's alarm system, doesn't shut off just because the workday ends. And here's the paradox. When night comes and stimulation drops, your body finally feels the accumulated pressure. Silence is not relaxing at first. It's exposing. This is where dopamine enters the scene. Scrolling, streaming, gaming. These are microdoses of fast dopamine, small hits of novelty and control. You choose what to watch. You choose when to swipe. You choose when to stop. Tiny acts of agency. After a day of adapting to everyone else, your brain clings to this. This pattern even has a name. Revenge, bedtime, procrastination. But the term revenge is misleading. You're not taking revenge on sleep. You're trying to restore autonomy. Behavior looks like self-sabotage, but psychologically, it's coping. Coping mechanism designed to regulate emotional compression. If you grew up in environments where your feelings didn't have space, where you had to be the calm one, the good one, the strong one, your system learned something early. My needs can wait. So adulthood becomes repetition. All day long, you override signals. Hunger, fatigue, irritation, sadness. You stay externally regulated. And at night, the bill arrives. The rational brain says you need sleep, but the emotional brain whispers, I need time. When autonomy feels threatened, the brain resists structure, even healthy structure, even sleep, because sleep means letting go. And if your nervous system associates letting go with vulnerability, unpredictability, or loss of control, you'll stay awake. Not because you're irresponsible, but because somewhere in your body, control equals safety. Stay with me, because this is where it becomes personal. Not everyone who delays bedtime is doing it for the same reason. There are different psychological archetypes hiding behind the same behavior. When you recognize which one you are, the guilt starts to dissolve. Which type do you identify with? Comment below. Mapping your subconscious mind helps you understand yourself clearly and breaks the cycle. Let's look at the first archetype, the silent, over-controlled child. This one doesn't look dramatic. They were the easy kid, the mature one. the obedient one, the one who didn't cause problems. Virtuous on the outside, compressed on the inside. If this is you, control was never loud in your childhood. It was subtle. Maybe your parents were stressed. Maybe emotions were inconvenient. Maybe love was conditional on behavior. You learned early that expressing too much could create tension, so you adapted. You regulated yourself before anyone asked you to. You monitored your tone. You monitored your needs. You became hyper-aware of the emotional climate. This is early emotional regulation without co-regulation. You didn't just feel your feelings, you managed them. And that creates quiet hypervigilance. Now in adulthood, you're competent and reliable. But all day long, you're still adapting. You rarely explode. You internalize. And because your identity was built around being good, your autonomy developed in silence. You don't rebel loudly, you rebel privately. At night, delaying bedtime becomes a symbolic reclaiming. No one can demand emotional labor, but sleep requires surrender, and surrender for you is loaded. Scrolling at 2 a.m. isn't about entertainment, it's about self-ownership. You are compensating for a lifetime of emotional compliance. Then there is the hyper-responsible achiever. This one looks like discipline and gets praised. You're productive, efficient. Deadlines don't scare you, failure does. But competence for you isn't just ambition, it's attachment. Somewhere in your early story, love was intertwined with performance. Your nervous system made a decision. If I stay useful, I stay safe. This is anticipatory survival. From the outside, you look in control. Internally, you're bracing. You live in functional hyperactivation. Cortisol is background music. When night arrives, sleep feels like a cliff edge. Because once you close your eyes, you lose momentum. You lose control over preparation. So you delay. You research random things. You optimize imaginary futures. This is attachment anxiety translated into productivity. You're negotiating with exhaustion, but exhaustion collects interest. You don't delay sleep because you lack discipline. You delay sleep because your nervous system believes slowing down equals losing value. Next is the emotional avoider. You function during the day, but you don't fully feel. Somewhere along the way, feeling became unsafe. Big emotions were dismissed, or the environment was emotionally chaotic. So your system learned to narrow the bandwidth, emotional constriction. But unfelt emotions don't disappear, they wait. And night is quiet enough for them to surface. When stimulation drops, sensations rise. A heaviness in the chest, a subtle sadness without a clear story. The cortex wants to sleep, but the body wants acknowledgement. And acknowledgement feels threatening, so you reach for the screen as a sensory shield. Light, sound, novelty, they keep the deeper material submerged. If you stop, the silence becomes loud with grief. You never processed or anger you never allowed. You don't procrastinate sleep, you procrastinate feeling. You choose alertness over vulnerability. Awake over aware, you are not broken, you are guarded. We also have the invisible one. This archetype doesn't fight for control, they disappear for it. You spent the entire day being emotionally and socially available. You are the one people vent to. The one who rarely says, I can't. But when you are constantly attuned to others, you slowly detach from yourself. This is emotional fusion. By the end of the day, you've shapeshifted so many times you're not sure what your original form was. Night becomes the only place where you don't have to be anyone. For the invisible one, bedtime procrastination is identity retrieval. It's the only time you feel your own edges again. You scroll slowly. Just enough stimulation to feel present. You became invisible early, learning that taking less space was safer. So usefulness consumes your identity. You delay bedtime because closing your eyes feels like erasing the only unsupervised version of you. But if the only place you exist fully is at 2 a.m., exhaustion becomes the price of identity. You don't need midnight to exist. You need boundaries. Finally, the anxious anticipator. This is overthinking psychology at its peak. They stay awake to delay impact. Bedtime feels like a countdown because sleep means tomorrow is coming. Your nervous system accelerates. You lie down, and your brain starts rehearsing. What if I forget something? What if that meeting goes wrong? This is anticipatory anxiety. Your amygdala treats imagined threats as real ones. Heart slightly faster, jaw tight, breath shallow. Sleep requires parasympathetic dominance, the safe enough to power down state. But somewhere in your history, unpredictability carried consequences. So you learn to stay mentally ahead. Bedtime becomes threatening because you cannot scan for danger while unconscious. You scroll to postpone, a subtle illusion that as long as you are awake, the future hasn't arrived. But constant vigilance is not the same as safety. It's exhaustion disguised as responsibility. Now step back. Look at the 5 archetypes. Different histories, same behavior. None of them are lazy. They are adaptive. You thought this was about productivity hacks or willpower? But here's the real reason you always feel either too much or not enough. You confuse control with safety, and bedtime exposes that confusion, because sleep is surrender. And surrender feels dangerous when your history taught you that letting go meant losing something. You don't hate sleep. You hate the feeling of having no protected space that belongs only to you. The behavior looks like self-sabotage, but it's actually a self-protection strategy that outlived its usefulness. The goal isn't to force yourself to sleep earlier. Force is what created the pattern in the first place. The goal is to create micro moments of autonomy during the day. 10 minutes where no one gets access to you, a boundary that protects your energy, a pause where you feel your own body without performing. Because when your nervous system experiences real agency during daylight, it stops demanding compensation at midnight. True control isn't staying awake. True control is being able to rest without fear, and that kind of control is internal. It's knowing that your worth, your identity, your safety don't disappear when you close your eyes. So tonight, instead of asking, why can't I just sleep? Ask, where did I lose my sense of choice today? And start there. If this reflection helped you see your psychological patterns with less shame and more emotional intelligence, share it and hit subscribe. The psychology unseen is a mentality. We don't fix behavior here, we understand it. And when you understand something deeply enough, it stops controlling you. Now tell me in the comments, which archetype are you? And what does 1:37 a.m. really mean for you?